This is episode 255 of Bella in Your Business. Hi there, I'm Bella Vasta from Jump Consulting. You might know me from CBS, NBC, Fox, Huffington Post, Entrepreneur, or maybe you've seen me speak on stage or read my book, The 4 Dogs That Every Business Owner Needs. In any case, get ready because you're about to get your hashtag Bella butt kicking in this next episode of Bella in Your Business. So what do you say? Let's get ready and jump! Welcome to another episode of Bella in Your Business. How did you guys like the last podcast? I did something different there where I gave you a download, and guess what? I decided to do it again. I only got 2 people that actually reached out and said, "Oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you so much." Are there more of you guys out there? I'm wondering, because it takes me about 20 minutes to create those downloads, and I'd be more than happy to keep doing it. Gosh, this podcast has really become kind of your own personal training series. Where else can you get step-by-step, specific, tactical instructions on how to do things? Gosh, I know some of my cohorts must be thinking I'm totally crazy and that it seems like I'm giving away the farm, but I know that, it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to actually do it, to critically think about it, to set aside the time to sit down and do it. And those of you guys who are doing it, I am so super proud of you. You are my jumpers. But I do want to encourage you that it is not just enough to sit here and listen to the podcast. Unfortunately, osmosis does not work. If it did, I would be very, very, very smart or more accomplished. So I want to encourage you to use the download from last time, get it out, work it. I'm also going to give you some more tactical stuff today and some actionable advice, some step-by-step. Sometimes I go so fast and I see the big picture that it's hard for me to slow down. So I'm doing my best to really kind of slow it down for you, which just is not a gear that I was born with. Anyways, let's get going. If you liked last podcast episode, be sure to leave me a comment, a review, an email, something. Send a flare. Let me know that you're out there and that you actually did enjoy it. I think that handout is really going to help you guys with leads from last time. But this time, we're going to talk about something different, and that is what to do when there's high turnover. Because guess what, guys? I am a coach that actually is out there helping you every single day. I'm hearing what you guys are talking about, what you're struggling about. So if you are like one of my listeners who emailed me from the last session and goes, "Oh my God, you were talking to me about the leads." Well, I know that if you can't handle the leads, you also have another problem going on right now, and that is high turnover. Whew. Turnover. That means when you can't keep people for a long time. And it's not just enough to do something that we used to do 2 years ago and be like, "Can you commit to 6 or 12 months? Yeah, that's not going to happen, guys. People don't even know what they're doing in 2 weeks on Labor Day. So let alone they don't know where they're going to be in January or February of next year. So just know that, get that frame of mind. But today we're going to talk about what to do when there is high turnover. And we're going to talk about the aspects that you actually can control, because that's something that we need to really think about. We need to stop and think and stop complaining. And we need to say, okay, what part of this process can I control? That is how you take your own control back. That is how you think bigger. That's how you stay positive. And that's how you grow your business. Okay. Because if you focus on what you can control, things are going to be a lot more cheery and bright and positive in your company. I know it's tough. I'm talking to you guys every single day. I know that you're getting your butt kicked right now and that you are just down and out. And this is why this podcast is here for you. It is here to kick you in the butt and to give you that motivation and inspiration to hopefully move you into action to keep doing stuff. You might have to try 10 different ways. This is all about testing. I am not going to say, "Hey guys, this is the magic wand and this is exactly how you're going to solve this problem." It doesn't work that way. It's different for everybody. But I'm dedicated to keep fighting for you if you keep fighting for yourself. So what happens when there's high turnover? It gets depressing. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Why don't people want to work with me? It's literally like dating where you just keep getting dumped, right? You start wondering, is there something wrong with me? It's also a lot of work. It's a ton of work, especially if someone gets through your training process. It makes you want to dumb down your training process. It makes you want to say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to fully train them until they're on board for a couple of months." That's the wrong way. That's the wrong idea. You do not want to dumb down your training process because that's all a part of your company culture, which ultimately leads to waste of money, right? I mean, let's just talk about it. I have some clients, Adriana comes to mind, where she can tell me, I think it was like $353. That's how much it costs her to start a new employee, between all of the onboarding and the training and the certifications and the training, the trainer, like all of that money and cost, she's added it up. And yeah, it does cost. But guys, when you think about a new employee being worth roughly $10,000 to $20,000 worth of revenue, they could service $10,000 to $20,000 worth of revenue. All of a sudden, $353 is not that much. It's a gamble. Sometimes you invest it back and sometimes it doesn't work, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing a bad job or not doing things right. Now, it also could mean that you're not doing things right and you're doing a bad job. I want you to also kind of zoom out of this today, and I want you to think about all the other jobs. In fact, go ahead and try to apply for some of the other pet sitting jobs in your local area. I dare you. Just like I tell you for sales, like for phone calls and on that phone script class that I sell on my website, to go ahead and call your competition, go ahead and try to become an employee with your competition. See what their process is like. I think you'll be wildly surprised at how crappy it is, because there's not a lot of good processes out there, except for, of course, if you're a jumper. Now, if you don't have proper staff, right? If you have high turnover, what's going to happen? Like, your clients are going to get pissed at you, right? They're going to be like, oh my God, not again. If you handle it the wrong way, that is. Although this is kind of a climate where I think that a lot of clients could actually be more empathetic towards you, talking about, it's high turnover, because we experience it everywhere. We go into any kind of service business, whether it's a restaurant or a salon or a groom shop, like it doesn't matter where we go, there's turnover everywhere right now. There's a big shift happening I think on a personal level, where people are really deciding like what's worth it to them. What do they want out of their life? There's a lot, and I've said this the last podcast, there's a lot of companies that are saying, all right, time to return back to work. And now they're also getting gun shy and not doing it. So if they're not doing it now, they will be doing it eventually. And they're saying, come back to work. And everyone's saying, no, I like to work from home. I don't want to get dressed and go into the office and stay chained to a cubicle or my desk. Like, I am happier working at home. I eat better. I'm motivated better. I get to exercise. I'm around my pets, like all this stuff. So I want you guys to really think about the climate. I want you to think about it bigger than you. It's really important to see the bigger picture and be a real big visionary. So when you have high turnover, think about, the reason why the market is volatile is because people are literally deciding what they want to do with their life. They're deciding what makes them happy. And when they're out there looking for things or looking to be attracted to a different job than what they're at now, what are you doing to attract them? All right. I want you to start thinking about the factors you can control. What can you do better? Okay, so what can you do better? Well, you're definitely in control of how often you're posting. And so when you're posting often, that means that someone's going to see your ad and they're going to be like, oh, this is new. If your ad is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 plus days old, you're old news. So don't sit there and think that because you posted something 20 days ago that it's out there and it's competitive. It's not. You need to be posting, I believe, at least once a week. I would say post more than once a week. And I would say post many different hiring ads. See what works, okay? We talked about a lot of this in the past episodes about hiring avatars, but you guys got to remember that marketing is not just for clients. Marketing is also for employees. Marketing is something that when an employee is looking to work with your company, they're doing the exact same thing that clients are doing, and they're looking at your social media. They're looking to see if they can see themselves as an employee of your company. What kind of messages are you doing? What kind of joy are you spreading? Are you someplace that is just another paycheck where they're going to get yelled at, or is just like any other dog walking or pet sitting company? Or do you actually have personality? People are looking at this stuff, you guys. And this is why in Better Marketing with Bella, every single month this semester, this is the first time we've ever done it. This is why we're giving all of our clients hiring graphics and hiring videos. because these are evergreen and timeless and you can post them again and again and again. What is your feed saying about you? What is your website saying about you? All right. So I really want you to be attracting people. And I actually have a download for you guys again. I'm going to show you about that in just a minute. It's coming up. But I also do want you to be posting multiple times because everything decays and you got to stay fresh on the newsfeed. These are things that you can control. I want you to change up your hiring ad. If you're talking to a college student, talk to a college student. Like you're talking to an actual person. If you're talking to someone who's retired or someone who's looking to change jobs to have a more successful and satisfying relationship with their job, talk to them, guys. That's a new avatar that's emerging right now that I would love to see you guys do. I will scream you from the rooftops if you do. Really, really talk to these people because it's depressing looking for a job. They don't know what they're looking for. And chances are, if they're looking for a pet sitting or dog walking job, they might have either A, stumbled upon it, or B, are working someplace that they're unhappy at because someone else is all they're doing is yelling at them, or they're not really connecting with them. They're not engaging with them. All right. Now, here's the big deal. And this is something that I really want to talk to you about. I talked to you a little bit about it in episode 243 when we said why you need hiring phases to hire fast and effectively. All right. That's when we were talking about you need to hire fast because people were just entering the job board and, it was easy. We were hiring easily. Now it's volatile. And now you know what you need to do. Your picker needs to be right. So phases are really important. And I've been talking to you guys and I've been seeing that some phases just are not built out. Now, when I talk about phases, I mean like interview steps. I mean like, okay, the first touch that you have with them is this email and you want them to answer these questions. And then the next step is these other questions. And these next step is another question. But what you need to be doing is I call these phases. And the biggest problem that I see and the mistake that I see, and I was in a coaching call this week with someone who they put all their questions on one big ass questionnaire and it was overwhelming. It was crazy. It was also redundant. They were asking the same thing over and over again. And they just had this questionnaire. And then after they filled out the questionnaire, then they're like, okay, let's do an in-person interview. And then they were getting ghosted. Well, duh. There's nothing sexy or exciting or entertaining or engaging about this process. All right. And so what we want to do is maybe that questionnaire needs to be broken down into like 4 different steps or phases or hoops or times that you're actually talking to these people. But even more so than that, for you, there's 3 important things. You need to 1, decide what are you testing for. 2, you need to decide how are you testing for that. Is it like rate yourself on 1 to 5? Is it open-ended question? Is it multiple choice? Is it sending in a video? Is it doing something and then explaining your work? How are we like testing them for what we're testing them? So the first step is what are we testing them for? The second step is how are we testing them for it? And then the third step is quantify it. How do we know if they actually passed or they failed? On what scoring system are you doing it? Is it a pass fail? Is it a rate it 1 to 5? And then for 1 point, you have to have this. And for 5 points, you have to have that. You have to also score it. This is how we go from, oh, it was just in my gut to a scientific way to do this. This is important for 2 reasons. 1, you do not want to hire off of your gut. I know that's what the industry says. I know that's what all the boards are saying, but guess what? Those boards are not successful. So I'm going to challenge this thinking. Don't do that. When you hire off of your gut, guess what happens? When they don't work out, you start doubting yourself because you hired based off of your gut, but your gut was wrong. Dun, dun, dun. And that's okay, guys. That's okay. But you got to stop making the same mistakes. You got to start quantifying this. You got to start, as one of my clients said, whoa, Bella, this is a lot of work. It sure is. It sure is. But you know what? If you do this work all up at the beginning, at the front, I promise you it's going to make it a lot easier on the back end. And the easiest way to do this is once you upload it, like on the front end, once you figure out all of your phases, and I have clients that have 7 phases, it'll work. I had a client that I did an intensive. I flew to her city in June and we worked 3 hours on the entire employee system. I'm talking from the very beginning from, hey, we have a job to offer you all the way into 6 months employment. because this is the culture that we're building. This is our biggest asset in the company, you guys, are these people. So we need to make sure that this is on point. And it's not just an interview. It's not just, okay, I trained you, that's it. It is a high touch, long term. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. And so we got to have all of this together. So anyways, I went there. We did this for 3 hours. We mapped it all out. And she was on a roundup in the mastermind and someone else had a question. And it was so cool to watch her say this. This is what she said. She said that we haven't necessarily had a ton of applicants, but because I now have 7 phases and the first 15-minute interview is by one of her staff members, she only gets to interview people at the very last stage. Okay. The very last stage. They've been screened. By the time they come to her, she knows that they have all the things she's looking for, like attention to detail, empathy, trustworthiness, operations minded, all these things because she's tested for it, you guys. And when they got to her, she's only had 3 interviews in I think it was the past 6 weeks, 3 interviews. But do you know that those 3 interviews she hired because these people were highly qualified? And not only that, but they're still working for her. She didn't get ghosted. She hasn't had them quit yet. Nothing's like that's happened. In fact, just the opposite. It's going amazing. She's like, they're my dream employees because she did the hard work that many people are not willing to do. I'm telling you guys, you can't control everything, but there's a lot that you guys are not taking ownership on and controlling. And I want to encourage you to do that. Now, if you go to jumpconsulting.net/episode 255, you're going to get my download for this one. And I've just waited 16 minutes into this episode to tell you this. Oops. But this download is going to show you my sticky note method. It's going to show you the 3 sticky notes. They're color coded, and it's going to show you what are you testing for? How are you testing for it? And what is the matrix? How do you know if they actually, not your gut, but numerically, how are we scoring them? And then on the second sheet, I actually show you a picture of how I did this on a very short coaching intensive call that I did on Zoom, where I got out sticky notes. I love sticky notes because there's a whole process to this. I'm only showing you a little glimpse of it because this is a podcast and I can't really go deep into it. But guys, there's a different way of doing things than what you've been told or what you've been doing. There's a different way. And if what you're doing is not working, stop doing it. It's the definition of insanity if you keep going. I'm telling you, I have different answers. I have different things you can try. And Jazz HR is the backbone for this. Jazz HR literally works. Anyone who says Jazz HR doesn't work, they don't work. If you tried Jazz HR before and you have not reached out to me, shame on you. Oh God, I just went hard on that. Yes, I know you catch more bees with honey. But guys, I'm saying this because I really need to shock you into oblivion here. Jazz HR works. It really works. It gives you the tools to be able to test and tweak and manipulate the different phases and see what's actually performing well and cut out what's not performing well. I'll tell you what does not work is you going and sitting in front of someone and having a 1 hour long conversation and then going off of your gut and hiring them and then giving away all of your secrets and your secret sauce and training them up just to get ghosted and say, you know what? I actually decided I don't want it. Now, will that happen with Jazz HR? I cannot guarantee that won't happen, but I can guarantee you that more good things will happen. And it's so much different than Indeed because Indeed, all it is posting. Jazz HR is bigger than Indeed for those of you who don't realize this. Jazz HR posts on 15 plus job boards, one of those being Indeed. And then what it does is it filters through the applicants based off of how you set it up so that you only see the ones that are actually going to work out for you. It saves you time. And then you get to just forward them on to the different phases with the click of a button. And then not only that, but I had another coaching client today and she goes and explodes her head with her hands. Can you imagine that? Because she did not realize that Jazz HR you can also use for your onboarding and training. You just keep continuing on the phases. And why not? Because Jazz HR integrates with things like Calendly and all kinds of payroll systems and all these forms that you need. You can keep everything streamlined. And when you are responsible for holding on to applications for at least a minimum of a year, some say even more than that, okay, in the United States, and you have to hold this stuff securely, what better way to do it in an awesome encrypted system that's all together? You guys, if you are not part of Jazz HR, go to jumpconsulting.net/Jazz HR. You'll fill out a form and talk to my girl, Abby. Abby's been working with our industry for 3 years, so she knows all about pet sitters and dog walkers. And you guys, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I don't recommend the first plan. If you guys are on the lowest plan, you can only have 3 hiring ads and you don't have any knockout questions and you don't get other stuff, I would suggest you cancel. If you're on the first plan, cancel. It's $50, cancel it. It's a waste of money. The second plan, that's where you're really at. It's around, I think, $120 a month. Month to month, you can cancel at any time, or you can pay for a year and get a discount. You get my hiring ad, you get my knockout questions, you get an hour-long support with them. I always suggest that my clients build out their phases and then use that hour to help have Jazz HR show you how to implement that and put that into the software so that you don't get inundated or overwhelmed with, oh my God, where do I go? Where do I click? Yes, it does take a little bit for front end, okay? No, this is not something you want to put off. This is not something that you want to say, oh, I'll do it later, because your turnover is high right now. You need to stop doing whatever it is that you're doing, and you need to start tweaking and testing different methods that you're not currently doing. I'm telling you this method works. I'm telling you this because I talk to you guys all around the United States and Canada right now, and I see what's working. I'm begging you, do it. And if you go to jumpconsulting.net/episode 255, you're going to be able to get that download in the show notes, and you're going to be able to print it out and do your own version of sticky notes. Now, you might have to print out number 1 or replicate the first page multiple times because that only represents one phase. And I think you should have a minimum of 4 phases up to 7 or 8 phases. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you want to actually see what other people's phases look like, you want to actually go into the back end system of multiple different Jazz HRs and see what the people who are winning, the people who are hiring multiple people at a time right now are doing. You can see all that in the mastermind. We're a tight-knit community in there, and people say, oh my gosh, we should say this, we should say that, this is how we should say it, this is how we should test for it, this one works really well, this one really doesn't, oh my God, I'm scared about this one. Don't be scared, because this is what's going to happen. The mastermind's where it's at, and that's jumpconsulting.net/mastermind. That's also $147 a month, month to month. There you go. No, there's no secrets there, okay? The people that are in the mastermind, they stay in the mastermind for months, even years. Because it works, you guys. Those are the people that are killing it with their business. Having a community around you really makes you feel supported. It's a place where when you're down and when you feel like your back's up against a wall, you have other people cheering you on or showing you different ways to do it. Guys, this is where the magic happens. And so to recap, when you have high turnover, number 1, it's expected. Right now, it's a very volatile market. Number 2, I want you to think about what can you control and start controlling it. You can control your phases in your hiring process. This is a really great time to flesh that out. Number 3, I want you to go to jumpconsulting.net/episode 255. That's 255, and get my download. Go ahead and use that and start working on those phases. And then if and when you get confused or overwhelmed or you're not sure what to do, consider joining the mastermind, a group of winners that are actually making stuff happen. jumpconsulting.net/mastermind. And at the very last, we have the wait list open right now. In about a month, we're going to start talking about Better Marketing with Bella again, because your marketing is where all of these employees are going, and they're looking at your Instagram and they're looking at your Facebook. In fact, if you are looking for college students, you should be telling them to look at your social media because they already are. And telling them to go check out your Instagram to kind of see what a day in the life of a pet sitter looks like, to see what kind of stories you're telling, and the vibe for your company. And that's where Better Marketing with Bella comes in and meets you halfway and gets you a lot of stuff for 6 months. We give you blogs, emails, videos, outlines for Facebook Lives, coaching sessions, both one-on-one and in a group setting. There's so much stuff. So I've just exhausted everything. I feel like I've talked too much. Tell me if I have or haven't. I hope this has been helpful. Can you please hit a girl back and let me know what stood out to you or what is going to be helpful. But know that this current climate is volatile, and you need to focus on what you can control. And all of this, the phases, this is all part of your company culture. And if you have no culture, if you're just like, hey, yo, fill out this application, let me talk to you. You seem like you have a pulse. Cool, you're hired. don't come crying when you say, I don't know what happened or no one wants to work, because your hiring process needs some work. And we're here to help you with that because there are different ways. You guys, I want you to remember that when life gets you down, always keep jumping, and let me know your thoughts and feedback on this episode. Bye now. So what did you think? Did you love this episode? I sure hope you did, because I put a lot of love into this for you. The best way you can show me that is by going to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to your podcast, and go ahead and leave a review. I just might read it on the next episode. I also want to remind you that when life gets you down, remember to always keep jumping. Thanks for listening.